1 2 1 2 in the place to be. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing out there? I am Frank Red, and this is the In the Dungeon Show. And I welcome you to join me in conversation. Been looking forward to it all day. A lot going on in the world of sports that we will certainly get into tonight over the next, I'd say 90 minutes or so. We may extend it a little longer depending upon the vibe of the show. But if it seems like I got a little extra pep in my step, I do. Because today is Mother's Day. And I'm sure I've mentioned it, but if I have not, Mother's Day is my favorite holiday. And, I live quite a bit of distance away from my mother. So our conversation has been on the phone, me sending money, to my siblings to take her out for a wonderful brunch, and having me trying my mind to the best of my ability, enjoy and stimulate that experience while being far away from her and my family. But with that said, I also think about all of the wonderful women in the world who have impacted my life, who have impacted your life, gave you inspiration, gave me inspiration, despite difficult conditions, despite maybe them not having all the love that they give to us from their mom. We don't know. But I love Mother's Day because I love my mother, and I just appreciate all of the people who have impacted my life. So hopefully my feelings and my energy is manifesting and permeating throughout the universe, and certainly throughout this listenership, because it's really, really important. It's why humanity and benevolence and altruism are covenants by which I live by. It all started with my mother. My mother having me as a 16-year-old and having my sister as a 15-year-old. Being black, there's a lot of statistics that say that you're not supposed to do certain things. You're not supposed to be successful. And every time I graduated from something, when I got my bachelor's degree, my mom graduated. When I got my master's degree, my mom graduated. When I got another degree, I love my mom. I do. And I love women. And I live and feed off of that energy. It is unbelievable. I just feel a sense of pride and energy on this day. So there you go. Hopefully you can relate to what I'm talking about. Maybe you'll give some comments or reflect on some instances about your mom or women in general who might have impacted your life. I'd love to hear about it if you choose to share. With regards to sports, we're going to talk about the Golden State Warriors and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Game 4 is tomorrow night at Chase Center. And essentially, that is the season. All right? I believe that the season has been a success. To what extent, I think we can debate that and have a conversation, but it's not over. I expect the Warriors to win tomorrow night. I really do. They're playing good basketball. What they're not doing is executing at the end of games, and that's why they're losing. Does Minnesota have a better team? Yeah, they do. Do they have more talent? Yes. But the best team doesn't always win, right? The best team doesn't always move on. The Warriors are the smarter team. I think they have the better system. They need to execute. So we're going to get into that because there's so many subplots surrounding this team. And obviously, if they lose tomorrow, I don't think they are. But that would say it. To me, it means it's less likely for Stephen Curry to kind of teeter around playing in Game 5 or not. If he's close, I think he probably plays in game 5, if he's close. If they don't win tomorrow night and he's close, I don't think he plays. There's too much at stake. But when you look at the Western Conference, let's go back to All-Star Weekend with Draymond Green. He said, none of these teams scare me. And guess what? He's right. OKC looks like, a bunch of guys who, have a new toy and they're just out playing with their toy. They're not mastering this toy. It isn't like Wynton Marsalis mastering his trumpet. They're not playing with it like that. They're not doing that. And Denver, I have a lot of respect for the Denver Nuggets. I'm emotional about Aaron Gordon because I've been around Aaron since he was probably 12. I've watched him since he was a young kid. Joker is awesome, but he looks exhausted to me. He's not out of shape. He's just fatigued. He's played a lot of basketball. He doesn't have an opportunity to rest, and he's not playing well right now. Now, could Denver still win that series? Yes, because I don't believe in OKC. Everything that I saw about OKC in the regular season is coming to fruition. Shea's usage rate is too high. I debated on Twitter probably about 8-9 months ago with some OKC fans. I'm talking to them about basketball, breaking stuff down, and they were emotional fans. I'm like, yo, dude, usage rate is too high. He's really good. I like him. But when they get to the playoffs, other guys got to step up. This is not the regular season. Thank God for Caruso. Caruso was all over the court today. He played his tail off. They don't win without him. So we can talk about that series. My New York Knicks, listen, if the Knicks don't win tomorrow, I don't see them beating Boston. I don't see them beating Boston if they don't win tomorrow. They need to go up 3-1. They do. They need to win. All right, so we can talk about the NBA playoffs, any subplots. Just with regards to the Warriors, this is one of those subplots. Based off Jonathan Kuminga's play, do the Warriors try to sign him? Do they sign him, or is it a done deal? Is he out of town? If they sign him to a major contract that he's worth $35 million a year. Then you got to coach him differently. You don't pay somebody $35 million a year and then yo-yo him around. That was part of the reason, I believe, why they didn't sign him. If Kerr wanted him signed, I believe he signed. I believe that. Yeah, they offered him a contract. Yeah, but if they offered him a contract allegedly around $120 million, and he's looking at guys who got drafted after him signing for $200+ million, he ain't gonna be all that excited about that. I don't blame Jonathan Kuminga. Don't blame him. And when I look at his talent, I think he's a really talented guy. All he needs is playing time, and he's showing that. Even the most novice basketball fan are watching the Warriors now in the playoffs, and they're saying, that guy got DMPs? How does that work? Is that real? No, it's not real. It's real, but it's unfathomable for us who get a chance to watch the Warriors play a lot. But what's most important? Monday's game is most important at this point. I'm also going to talk about Shadua Sanders. I'm not a cheerleader, but I certainly root for the young man. And I got a take on that. My thing about Shadua Sanders is this. I have zero problem with an organization that determined that based on their protocol, we don't want to draft this guy. Okay, I have no problem with that. Good luck keeping your job in 2 years when he blows up. What I have a problem with is highly paid analysts and talent evaluators trashing this kid's talent. That is absurd. It's like listen, you watch tape, I watch football. I watch Colorado every weekend, and the only thing he did, with the exception of a couple of games, is be exemplary on the football field. Blow up, 400-yard games, pinpoint accuracy. And all of a sudden he's a bum, he can't play? Come on, man. You hear the rumors out of the Cleveland camp, his stats? You see the highlights on the internet? Cleveland's already coming out saying, well, we might have to look at trading one of our quarterbacks. We like our quarterback room, but we got a lot of, Would you be worried about that if you had a 5th-round draft pick who you didn't think was going to make your team? No, they know they got an asset. They know they have an asset. And they're trying to monetize that asset. They might have a couple of assets. Maybe they ultimately trade Dylan Gabriel. Who knows? But the reality is, the narrative that was out there about Shadua Sanders was not truthful. It was not honest. If you want to say he did not show professionalism, then say that. Brian Daboll was the only guy who kind of intimated that might have been the case, which is why I respect the hell out of Brian Daboll. I do. Guys who look like Brian Daboll don't make it to the tippy top of the food chain, but he did. And so that tells you something about him. He's already taken the Giants to the playoffs. And if he has a process that says, you know what, I don't know, man, I need somebody who's a little more buttoned up. Okay, fine. But when I look at Shadua Sanders, I see somebody who's been working out with Tom Brady. He has the best footwork of any college quarterback coming out this year. His throwing motion is the best of any college quarterback coming out this year. Guess what? I saw Cam Ward live. I was at the Cal game. He was atrocious the first half. And he came back in the second half and rallied his team, and I'm rooting for the young man. I think he's going to be a good player. But he doesn't throw the ball. He doesn't throw a better ball than Shadua, and his footwork is not as good as Shadua. It's not. All right. How about that? Let's get started. I guess if you've been waiting, and I want to get your comments, and we'll delve into some more things. But off the top, I want to talk about that. All right. SGA, Shadua, how you doing, brother? He says, hi, Frank. How you doing, man? I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. Start off with a sports take, all right? I'm good. The great Vicky says, hi, Frank. What happened to the Knicks in Denver? Jimmy got to start going to the rim. Jimmy got to start going to the rim more for the Warriors to have a chance. Pods got to do the same thing. Forget threes, go to the rim, score that way. Yeah, I mean, I think Jimmy Butler was excellent. And it's hard shooting over 7-footers that are standing in front of you. So I think the onus, Vicky, is on Jimmy's teammates to step up and do their jobs. He had 33 points. He played good basketball. There were a couple of tough misses, but the other guys got to step up. Pods, when you tell the truth about Pods, then you're hating. I'm not hating on Pods. I like Pods. I root for everybody. Anybody makes it to the NBA, are you kidding me? But you can't play 39 minutes and shoot 2 for 10, particularly from the outside. Now, from Steve Kerr's perspective, he's like, yo, Red, I don't have anybody to dribble the ball. I don't have any other guards. It's true. He doesn't have a lot of guards, which is why Pods is playing. But if I'm coaching Pods, you know what I'm telling Pods? Pods, I want you to be more of a facilitator, okay? I want you to not think just because you're open, you need to shoot, because you don't. This is a grind out possession game and series. It's going to come down to a couple of possessions. Use your floater. If there's 3 feet in front of you, dribble the ball inside, take those 3 feet and shoot your floater. Unless you start off hitting, and then okay. But Podge is doing exactly what the Minnesota Timberwolves scouting report wants him to do. Just throw bricks up. He's not a good shooter. He's a streaky shooter. He's not a good shooter. We need to stop that. We need to stop that. Vicky says, what do you think about what Draymond said? I'm going to answer that in a couple of minutes, Vicky. Thank you. I appreciate you. Simon Baker, what are your thoughts on size temper tantrums? Okay. I'll get to that as well. Man, I love it. Vicky says the Warriors aren't playing smart. The Nets have 3 draft picks. I would talk to them about JK. No, Vicky. Vicky, you need your own show. You are brilliant. You really are. I mean, your takes that you put into the universe via Twitter are spot on. If JK gets traded, I think he's going to go to Washington or Brooklyn. That's how I think he's going to go. So I think you're right on there. Glenn Doshis, Gilbert Arenas has a great take on the Kuminga situation. The Warriors are trying to lower his value in free agency. I can go there. It's not a illogical take by any stretch of the imagination. And we can delve into that also. I'm going to make sure that I remember what Vicky has said. Oh, okay. Vicky, was that about where Kuminga goes? Okay. Mark Gray says, I noticed that the T-Wolf players are playing defense with their arms straight out when closely guarding. Why aren't the Warriors doing the rip through to get guys in foul trouble? They might not know how to do it. What looks really, really instinctive to you, Mark, and maybe some other people in the moment. I mean, it's hard in the moment unless it's habit form, unless that's something that you do. So that's a good suggestion, and maybe someone will listen to this program and apply it tomorrow, because I think there might be some opportunity to do some stuff like that. I do, but Minnesota's long, man. They're really long. Aglendocious, that doesn't make sense. He's a restricted, so all he has to do is get an offer from another team. I don't know what the context of that, but I do think that the Warriors and other teams have some clout, because another team could make a contract to Kuminga so intrusive that it puts the Warriors in a bad situation. I don't know what the context was of you guys' conversation, though. Vicky says, those same analysts said Purdy couldn't play in the NFL. There you go. Keys, what's up, my brother? Says, what's up, Frank? Warriors need youngsters besides Kuminga to step up. Podge and Moody can't shoot all of a sudden. Yeah, you know what? Keys, one of the things that I know about basketball and sports in general, and maybe even life, when you lose your confidence, you're not the same. The very few are able to be impervious to losing their confidence. Like, if somebody told me that Michael Jordan lost his confidence as a player, I would say when. I've never seen it. I've never seen Kobe Bryant lose his confidence. I've never seen Stephen Curry lose his confidence. Paul Pierce. Never. But most humans lose their confidence. And that's like, I don't like to coach that way. I don't. And in all of Steve Kerr's brilliance, the way that he buries guys in the context of they're not working for the system, I don't like that. I don't, because he loses players. Young West, who you got tomorrow in the Warriors game? I got the Warriors. Why? Unlike some of these other farce teams out here, the Warriors are competitive. They're playing good basketball. Think about how close the Warriors are to beating a higher seed without a top 10 player in the NBA. Think about that. Minnesota's at full strength, and the Warriors are up 7 points with 5 minutes to go? They should have won Saturday. They didn't execute yesterday. Down the stretch, they did not. I'll give you a perfect example. The Warriors are down 7 with maybe 2.5, 3 minutes to go. They run a great set. Buddy Hield knocks down a 3. Now they're down 4. They're down 4 with 1:50 to go. All they got to do is get a stop. They go down, they get a stop. They run the same series. Buddy Hield muscles up an errant 3. Why are you going for 3 when you're down 4 with 1:50 to go? When the 3's contested, that's not good execution. Obviously, if he made it, I wouldn't have said anything. But that wasn't the best shot at that particular time. SGA says, I'm going for Golden State. All right. Mark Graves, JK is restricted. So Arena's saying the Warriors are trying to keep his value down. Doesn't make sense. Can you build on that, Mark? Why? Because other teams can offer him a contract, Mark. The higher the value, the higher the potential contract. The lower the value, if the Warriors do sign him, the more they can negotiate for a lower salary. So I don't think it's an absurd take for those particular variables. Even though he's a restricted free agent, if he's blowing the spot up and is clearly one of the top free agents in all of basketball, he's going to make more money. If the Warriors watch him every day in practice and they think that he can ascend and be an all-star caliber player, and yet they can sign him for $30, $40, $50 million less, you think they don't want to do that? I don't think it's malicious intent. I just think the outcome could favor the Warriors by him not expressing his talents in the most profitable way for him. And what do I mean by that? I mean by playing well. I mean by going out scoring 30 points, playing great defense, being a two-way player. TJ says, love watching Frank and this show. He knows hoops. Thank you. You know what's interesting, TJ? I do know basketball. I played it. I coached it at a high level, but I also played college football. I played basketball and football at Fordham. I played high school baseball. I played lacrosse. I was a caddy for 10 years. So we don't talk a lot of golf, but I know golf very well. That was my first job. So I love basketball because I fell in love with it, and that's the sport that changed my life. But I played every sport. I played baseball. I played catcher and right field. I don't talk a lot of baseball because when I moved to California, I was a Met fan growing up in New York and a Yankee fan. I like both teams, but my first team was the Mets. But it broke my heart to see the Oakland A's leave. That broke my heart. So I'm not going to act like I'm a Giant fan. I'm not a Giant fan. I like the Giants being successful. I root for the Giants. But I was an A's fan. I was a bigger fan of the A's fans, the people who actually went to the game. You talk about diversity. You talk about people who lead with their heart. Those are A's fans. Like Oakland Raider fans. whenever I went to an Oakland Raider game, I felt like I was in New York. I felt like I was home, because the people at the core lead with their hearts. They're all together. You can't fake those images of Raider fans, Oakland A's fans. You can't fake that. And to see one man make a decision to rip the heart out of a city, to go to a desert where they don't even like baseball for a money grab, is shameful. It's absolutely shameful. Young West says, I like your logical basketball takes, Mr. Frank. Thank you. You know what's funny? I told someone, I think I was on Sideshow last night, and it was, at the beginning, it was me, Cy, and Larry Kruger, my guy. And I said, I'm not emotional about sports. I can be emotional about people, but I'm not emotional about sports. So if there's any logic there, it's because I'm really not leading with emotion. I'm just talking about what I see. Moody had some bad luck getting caught late in the shot clock. Yeah, he has to get focused. I love Moses Moody, but and you can build an argument about how, you know, he isn't getting a fair chance and all that type stuff. The reality is, every second that you're on the court, you got to perform. The onus is on Moses Moody to get himself ready to play. He's already been paid. Starting next year, he's going to make $13 million a year for 3 years, guaranteed. That's on him. You know, so if Kerr puts him in the game, he has to play like he doesn't want to come back out. That's what Jonathan Kuminga's doing. Key says, Kuminga and TJD stepping up, even though Kerr didn't believe in them. I wish they played all year. I agree with you. Like I told you, but like, listen, my number one take on this show, when Quentin Post was raining threes, and I hope he rains a couple tomorrow, is that whenever I see big guys shoot three-point shots, and that's your calling card, I get scared. Because to stop a three-point shooter, know what you need to do? Put your hand up. Don't let him get the ball, contest the shot. Give me a big guy who rebounds and plays defense, hustles, sets great picks. I want that guy. If Quentin Post can become that guy and also shoot, then he'll have a career. If he wants to be kind of a, you know, kind of a guy who shoots outside shots, nah, man. That's not what the Warriors need in this series. The Warriors lost Saturday night because of offensive rebounds. They could not consistently secure their defensive board. As much as we love Draymond Green, or if you don't, then that's fine too. I admire Draymond as a basketball player. Someone with Draymond's skill set should not be going to the Hall of Fame. But that speaks to how special he is. But at 35, he gets overwhelmed at times. He gets tired. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of lift at this point, rebounding. I know what it feels like to be 35 playing basketball. You don't have the same lift. So he needs his teammates. He needs the Quentin Posts of the world, the Trey Jackson. He needs these young boys to step up. Because people can argue about referees. I was trained and taught never to complain about referees. So when I hear people complain about referees, I'm like, you know what? Tell the whole story. The charge on Draymond, Julius Randle, I thought was not a charge. I thought that was a bad call. But the guy who drove to the basket and fouled Draymond out, I think that maybe was Daniels. Draymond grabbed his jersey halfway through the basket. Draymond grabbed his jersey en route to the basket. And then he let it go. And then the guy went up, Jake McDaniels. He kind of fumbled the ball. And that probably was not a foul. But Draymond grabbed his jersey earlier. They could have called that. Mark Graves says, that is what I'm saying. If he gets a big offer from another team, the Warriors have to match. Gil was saying the Warriors are trying to keep his value down on purpose when another team can offer more. Okay, Mark, this is probably a larger conversation, because if he doesn't play well, a smart team would not offer him an outrageous contract, right? So then he would have less options, and the Warriors would probably be in a better situation and even more comfortable signing him to a less expensive contract. The reality is, the better Kuminga plays, the better it is for him. Not necessarily the Warriors. You know, they might do a great job negotiating and get what they want. But from Kuminga's perspective, the better he plays, the better it is for him. He's going to get the bag from the Warriors, or he's going to get it from somebody else. That's the point I'm making. That's it. You definitely cleared that up. Thank you. TG, Frank, what do you think about Kruger abruptly leaving Side's show last night? Personally, I go Kruger over Side any day of the week. Okay, I'm going to talk about your first question. I just wanted to get through all of these comments. But I'll talk about that a little bit. Larry and I are good friends. Young West, if the Warriors go down 3-1, do you think the Warriors can win the series if Steph comes back in Game 5? Could they win? Yes. Do I think they would win? No, I don't. Otherwise, I'm just being a fan, man. Logically, do I think that the Warriors would be able to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves 3 straight games in a row? If that happens, Chris Finch might get fired. Anthony Edwards is the best player in the league under 25 years old. Do you know how good that guy is? He's not always consistent, but that dude is money. I think they need to win tomorrow to have a legitimate shot of winning the series. I think they go back to Minnesota's tie at 2-2. I think the Warriors win. I would bet money on that. Vicky says, Post doesn't like to get down and dirty. That's what center's job is. Yes! I agree with you. Mark says true. JK's bag just went up. Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you how my mind works. And I don't know what JK's situation is. And I'm not going to stereotype young people who come from different countries that I haven't visited. But when I think of Africa, the continent of Africa, and I think of all the countries, an extra 5-10 million a year does wonders in that part of the world. And we can talk about Dikembe Mutombo, great NBA player, Hall of Famer, who unfortunately died a couple years ago. But when I think of Dikembe, I think of Dikembe the humanitarian. I think of the guy who was building hospitals for kids and families who need them in areas where they could not receive proper health care. I don't know what Jonathan Kuminga is going to do with his money or what he's doing, but I know those millions matter. I want him to make as much money as he can possibly make, like everybody else. Vicky says, Ant-Man could play on my team anytime. Mine too. I mean, he's a ball. I mean, that dude's a dog, man. He was soaking up all that game last summer, playing with LeBron, playing with Steph, playing with KD. And he was nothing. He was literally like Grasshopper. Some of you might be too young to remember Grasshopper. Look it up. Grasshopper in Kung Fu, the noble student of the master. You guys saw that clip on YouTube with Kevin Durant and Anthony Edwards going through a shooting drill, going shot for shot from like 26, 27 feet. Beautiful content. Beautiful tape. I'm on board with Ant-Man as a basketball player. I think, brother needs to slow down, though. I mean, there's some other things going on. But as a basketball player, hey, man, love it. All right. Let me get to the side comment. Let me kind of take another look at that. I just wrote Side's name down because I want to remember. Okay, okay. Simon Baker's asked me, what are my thoughts on Side's temper tantrums? Okay. What I think about Side's temper tantrums is he reminds me of a super fan. That's what he reminds me of. Cy reminds me of somebody who is really passionate about sports, somebody who has had an illustrious career behind the scenes as a producer. So he knows everybody. He knows where all the bodies are buried, right? And maybe he had aspirations of being bigger than what he is. And, he's talked about it, how things that don't matter about your ascension in the industry got in the way of his success. And he kind of talked about that. And I think he kind of lives with that, because non-fans, if you are a player, right? If you are a player, or if your mama or your daddy or your uncle has power in the industry, guess what? You just walk through the door. You walk through the door and you land in a spot that it might take somebody 10 or 15 years to even be interviewed for. So what I said to Cy, and I would say to anybody, is nobody defines success for me. Nobody defines success for me. When I was on the radio, you ask anybody. When I had my own show, I had a once a week show on KHTK. I was number one for over 10 years. Number one. I was the most gracious host. I work with producers now who are prominent superstars in this industry. Superstars that are literally 3 levels ahead of me now. I don't even have, this is fun. This is not a job. This is fun. But that's how the world works. When I engage with these people, I mean, they're my friends. They don't feel any angst from me because it's not there. I don't define my success by somebody else's success. I live my life. I try to do things that are beneficial to my community and the world. I make that decision. Everybody's not like me. I understand why, Cy could get upset if, I'm saying, depending upon how he is constructed. I don't think it's real productive though. From a health perspective, I want him to slow down a little bit because he's really a good guy. Off mic, he's a great guy. That's been my experience. With that said, I think what he's done with his career is unbelievable. He has a very successful show. People come on his show. He got great content. He's making moves. If I was Cy, I'd be like, damn, man, I've really done it. I've made it. And I'm still making it. So I think he's been very successful. The temper tantrums, the blow-ups, I don't like that. That's just not me. I don't want to say something to somebody who I'm going to regret. That's me. But maybe he doesn't regret it. That's just who he is. And he's unapologetic. I like that and I respect that. He's very respectful to me. I'm very respectful to him. So, and judging by the audience, He's speaking to his audience because they love it. I mean, the super chats are going crazy last night. Going crazy. It's just not my style. That's all. I would never do that. Not me. Eli says they are temper tantrums. Yeah, I think they can be perceived that way, but I think there's something behind it. He kind of talked about it. We're going to evolve in this format to the point where at some point, we'll be able to actually talk to each other, voice to voice. I think we are getting it. Vicky says, I get mad at Larry, the one who helped Cy. I'm not quite getting this. I get mad at Larry, the one that helped Cy is kind of dumb. Please elaborate more on that, Vicky. I'm not quite sure what you're saying there. The beautiful thing about podcasts is I believe that ultimately it's about how hard you work. If you really work hard, you can make some hay in this business. You really can. What's different is it'll take somebody longer. It might take someone longer than the other. I've done a damn near 150 shows and I have 287 subscribers. Now, I don't do a great job promoting my show. That's on me. I don't do a great job doing that. I'm only on one platform, YouTube. I don't really tweet about the show because I don't have a lot of time to do a lot of the stuff that I need to do to promote the show. I'm going to do it maybe in the summer. I focus all of my energy on content. And it's really like a level of respect to my listeners. How big, how small, it doesn't matter. The fact that you show up and you listen to me and you want to engage in conversation with me on a Sunday night, are you kidding me right now? That's big time, man. I love it. Cy got mad at Larry like he did with Carl. Yeah, I wasn't on that show. And I'm glad I wasn't. I'm glad I wasn't on that show because I don't, you guys know my personality at this point. I keep it up here. I respect everybody. I'm not going to go off the handle. Part of that is just like being a player, to be honest with you. Being a player and a coach. If you were a coach that's going boombastic I've had high level coaching. My high school coach never got a tech. Never got a tech. He was a legend. He's one of the top coaches in New York high school history. Hung out with Morgan Wooten, all of the greats, Jack Curran. My career has been unbelievable. My high school record was 48-7, playing against the best competition in New York, the whole East Coast. All the star players of my era, I probably beat them at some point. Wasn't because of me, because of my teammates. They were really good. Larry helped Cy. It's dumb for Cy to get mad at Larry. I don't think Cy was mad at Larry. I don't think he was, Vicky. Frank, what position did you play in basketball when you played? Power forward. Power forward. Probably played a little center as well. I played, but I was a front court player. I would say that. I was a front court player. Forte's rebounding, playing defense, Finally learned how to score around my third, fourth year. But I came into college not being a real offensive player. I could on putbacks, but my college coach, Tom Penders, he's in the College Basketball Hall of Fame. He taught me how to be a legitimate post player. And I fought it like hell. I did, because it's very technical. But when I finally learned how to play inside, it was over. I became a legitimate player. It's amazing, which is why I love teaching the game, which is why I can really break down big guys. I can coach any position, but when I look at a big guy, doesn't matter the gender, I know if they can play or not, because I know what it takes, because I had to learn. I did not know, and I was taught how to play basketball. Patrick, did Big Frank have a nice jumper? I could make a shot if I was open. Was I a prolific jump shooter? No, I was not. I had a pretty unstoppable turnaround jump shot off the backboard. I could score. I mean, my turnaround jump shot became pretty darn good. And I was a good free throw shooter. Shot high 70s. But as a perimeter shooter, I wouldn't trust me to consistently shoot outside shots. No. Now, let me tell you something that's interesting about basketball. Know when guys become really good shooters? When they get to the NBA. Because the best coaching is done at the NBA level. You have all the resources. I'll give you a perfect example. Mark Jackson, who you can make a case that Mark Jackson could be in the Hall of Fame. You can make that case, all right? Now, Mark was a rival of mine in high school. Mark Jackson couldn't throw a ball in the ocean in high school. Could not shoot. But he was a good free throw shooter. He was a pretty decent shooter in college. When Mark Jackson got to the NBA, Mark Jackson was probably a 37, 38% three-point shooter. Why? Because he worked on it. Because he had the proper coaching. It's amazing. So I'm thinking about myself, had my basketball career ascended to another level, there's no reason to think that I wouldn't become a much better shooter. Because it's all technique. It's all technique, fundamentals, and hard work. The people who Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd is one of the all-time leaders in three-point shooting. Jason Kidd couldn't shoot. But by the time Jason Kidd's career was at the tail end, Jay Kidd was knocking down threes like it was nothing. Why? Because he worked on it. He worked on shooting. Wood Pitt, 420 says, my dad went to Union Endicott. What is that? I'm not familiar with that. Help me out. Vicky says, you didn't answer the Draymond question about him being shown. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Vicky. Intelligent people don't view Draymond as an angry black man. I don't quite know where he was going with that. I don't know. Maybe he was referencing his comments to maybe somebody who was asked to leave, who might have said something derogatory to him. And if you extrapolate that, you could say, well, there are other people that maybe feel about Draymond the way that that individual maybe expressed him or herself to him. That's all I can think of, because intelligent people don't view Draymond as an angry black man. I don't think they do. I think that they view him as a very competitive basketball player that is allowed to go over the edge sometimes. You know, I think it's more the NBA. You know, because if they wanted to kill that, they can kill it right now. They could have killed it 5-6 years ago. You know, but when you start to, again, look at the inner workings of the NBA, who do you think is the highest rated team in the NBA? The Warriors. Do you think that the Warriors are still pulling a rating even with Stephen Curry not playing? Yes, they are. Because it's about personalities. So do they allow him to go too far sometimes? Yes. Could he have been the player that he has become, the Hall of Famer, without being an edge player like that? No, I don't think so. So I don't view Draymond as an angry black man. I don't believe that narrative. That's his opinion. I don't see it. Networks don't line up to pay you millions of dollars to represent their organization if they have any ill thoughts about your professionalism. Draymond Green is going to be one of the most successful broadcasters of his generation and future generations. There's nobody as good as he is at articulating his thoughts and the game of basketball, who's an actual player. So I don't agree with that. I don't agree with it at all. Who were your basketball idols growing up? Wow. My first was Walt Clyde Frazier, the best player in the history of the New York Knicks. I get offended when people talk about Jalen Brunson, kind of being the best. I'm like, stop it, man. Stop it. I love Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson has won 0 championships at the NBA level. Walt Clyde won 2. All right? So Walt Clyde Frazier, Dr. J from my hometown. All right? Dr. J's nephew, his sister's son, is one of my best friends. And Dr. J, Julius Erving, used to do camps for us after the season. He had a Winnebago, right? He would show up with this big afro with his kids, literally like a month after the season, and do dunks for all of these kids in my town for like 20 minutes. I am just a huge Dr. J fan. And I got Magic Johnson. I've met all my idols. Magic Johnson, as engaging as he is on television, he's just like that in person. Magic Johnson was somebody who, man, I love watching Magic Johnson play basketball. I wish everybody got a chance to see Magic play. Who's the best guard in the NBA? He's not as good as Magic. Steph is amazing because he has a particular skill that is unbelievable. But there is no guard in this league who even comes close to Magic. Imagine a 6'9" guy with exquisite dribbling skills. That was Magic. How could you guard him? You guys see Jokic when he kind of comes down and he backs the player down from like the 3-point line? Magic did that every time. Every time Magic Johnson did that. Magic Johnson would have been an all-star if he just played power forward. He had unbelievable footwork. He had he had an awesome hook shot. Magic Johnson. He had a set shot that was pretty consistent from about 22 feet, and he shot over 80% from the free throw line. Now, was he really quick on defense? No, he wasn't. He wasn't horrible, but I don't think anybody's ever associated Magic Johnson with being a great defender, because he wasn't. He was not. As I got older and more educated on basketball, Larry Bird. I respect the hell out of Larry Bird. What college did you go to? I went to Fordham University in the Bronx. I love watching Magic play. Oh my God, awesome. You should coach Post. I wish I could. I would love to coach Quentin Post. I would help him become a better player. There is no doubt about it. There's absolutely no doubt about it. If I had 5 sessions with Quentin Post, I believe I'd make that guy a $10 million player, because he has all of the ingredients to be that guy. If I could just go to a practice and watch how other coaches coach him, I can even help doing that. I'm not impressed when I go to watch like pregame stuff and I see coach. Come on, man. Let's have an honest conversation. You don't go to LinkedIn and get hired to be an NBA coach. It's all who you know. That's what it's about. And sometimes the people who get hired are excellent. A lot of times they're not excellent. A lot of times they might not have even played. That's how the world works though, right? Let's be honest. It's about who you know. Who you know, who you're related to, you know, your character, you know. And I think the game has changed to the point where, you know, having that technical background, that analytical mindset, that works also. That's a big, important part of the game. Even when you watch like those assistant coaches now who use the technology really fast to see if the head coach is going to challenge the call or not, that's important. And you got a bunch of guys sitting there with computers. That's how it is. If you coach post, the Warriors would give you a bag. You know what? Those coaches make a nice living. I tell you that. That's for damn sure. Patrick says, another example of a jump shot developing at the NBA level is Aaron Gordon. Absolutely. Unreal how he's gotten from deep at the NBA level, especially with Denver. Great point, Patrick. And again, I mean, Aaron's another young man who I've seen develop over a period of time. I know his agent really well. Couldn't be happier for this young man. And I really feel sorry that he lost his brother, Drew, because Drew was a great big brother. And, you know, no one's really talking about it, but I got to think that internally, you know, Drew's right there with Aaron right now, living in the moment, experiencing all of the success. I'm not real religious, but I'm real spiritual. And I just feel there is an out-of-body connection there. You know, I believe that. It's a great story with what Aaron Gordon is going through right now and experiencing. Gabriel, what I don't get is how there are players in the NBA who have zero jump shot or three-point shooting ability. Why do you want everybody to be able to shoot the three? I don't understand that. It's basketball. You can't have everybody doing one thing well. I'll take a guy who can play defense and score inside over a three-point shooter every day of the week. Every day of the week. Do you know what Shaq would do in this area of basketball? Especially with the proliferation of the zone. You couldn't even play zone when Shaq was in his heyday. Maybe towards the tail end. But the zone has just been implemented over the past, 10, 15 years? You couldn't play zone in the NBA. Shaq would be a monster. He was a monster in his era. Shaquille O'Neal would average 35 a game. He would break someone like Post in half. Anybody. Draymond couldn't check Shaq. No way. No way. Shaq was a monster on the court. He would dominate at this level. I don't want Shaq shooting threes. Vicky, I think Draymond, like you said, he gets tired. That's when he starts flailing his arms. Steve needs to take him out at that point. And Steve did take him out. You know, Steve tries to coach him. He does. He does. Steve-O, Hall of Famer? Dude only averaged double digits a few years. At least Rodman averaged 20 rebounds multiple years. And having the Splash Brothers and Durant, he should have had double. You talking about Draymond? Okay. So, Steve-O, I love your comments, but Draymond is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Basketball is two sides of the court. Draymond is not only the best defensive player of his era, he's arguably one of the best defenders of all time. Steve Kerr called him the best defender he's ever seen. I'm not going to dispute Steve Kerr, but in my view, he's not a better defender than Dennis Rodman. I don't think so. I think if Dennis Rodman played in this era, Rodman was awesome. Like Draymond is awesome. But Draymond is a Hall of Famer. Let's put some respect on his name. He never makes ESPN, but so what? Why is making ESPN a highlight some type of statement for greatness? Let me say this to you, and I haven't looked at the stat in a while, but I would ask you to do this, or any person with the technical skills. Look at when Draymond Green came into the NBA 15 years ago to where he is now. I guarantee you he has one of the highest winning percentages among players who come into the league that time. Know what's the most important thing? Winning. Nothing else matters but winning. Winning. That's why Steve Kerr is the coach of the Warriors. What do you got? 6, 7, 8 championships? 9? It's all about winning. Magic started making me love basketball. I love that, Vicky. What was Magic Bird like? It was awesome because they were gentlemanly towards each other. I guess they became really good friends. But I mean, imagine Larry Bird, man. I mean, Larry Bird was 6'9", 6'10", a white player, and primarily a black-oriented game at that stage, who was nasty. Larry Bird won the MVP 3 times in a row. Think about being a young white kid, or it doesn't matter, but just like a young white kid who thinks that, yo, I want to be great one day, and you got Larry Bird to look up to, who looks like you. And Larry Bird talked a whole lot of stuff, man. Larry Bird had a real good mouthpiece. He didn't care. Larry Bird talked basketball. You know, he would embarrass you with his play and with his jabs, his verbal jabs at you. You know, and Magic was just as lethal on the court. It was awesome. Larry Bird's the best player in the, well, Bill Walton is Bill Russell is the best player in the history of the Celtics, in my view. And I put Larry Bird number 2. Keys, hit that like button and subscribe. Yes. Thank you, Keys. Do the job that I don't do very well. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, hit the like button, please. Subscribe to the show. The idea that, I mean, when I see people with like these like crazy subscriber numbers, like in the thousands, I was like, how did that happen? Who's doing that? That's crazy. But the idea that I could at some point have 1,000 subscribers, I'm a long way from that point. But that's amazing. It really is amazing. Vicky says, I hate analytics. I don't live by analytics, but I don't dismiss them either. I think that data is important. You know, there are some realities, some outcomes that are produced from data, but they don't drive my thinking. They don't. I consider it, but I don't replace data with nuance. Nuance is really important. Key says, I remember the rumor a couple of years ago, Wiseman for Miles Turner. Damn, we blew it if that was true. Yeah, I mean, you know what? This iteration of Miles Turner took some time to get there. I think Miles Turner's gonna be I think he might be on the Lakers next year. I don't think he's gonna be in Indiana because the way his contract is laid out. I don't think Indiana can offer him the type of money that he's asking for without like blowing their salary cap up. So I think he's gonna be a free agent. Maybe they'll do some sign and trade stuff. They might get a player back, but I think Miles Turner is going to be on another team next year. I think it's going to be out west. Wouldn't surprise me if it is the Lakers. What's going to be interesting to me is Bradley Beal in the free agent market, because I think he's going to get bought out in Phoenix. If Bradley Beal gets bought out, I would love to see him on the Warriors. If you could sign Bradley Beal for the mid-level exception, I would love that. And the system is perfect for Bradley Beal. Steve Kerr's system is tailor-made for Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal was coached extremely well by Billy Donovan at Florida. Went to a really good high school. He's a really smart player. Man, Brad Beal and Steve Kerr's system would be a home run. Patrick says, I remember watching Aaron Gordon as a freshman in high school at Mitty and could not believe my eyes. He was a jumping jack, right? Athleticism out of this world. There's nothing wrong with twos. I agree with you. Steve-O, Shaq would be shooting threes. He probably would throw a couple up. I don't like the outcome of that, though. Key says, why do you believe European players seem more skilled than we are, especially their bigs? Because they're taught to play the game with less contact. Because I don't think that they emphasize the traditional route of development. In the United States, we have a school system that is very traditional, that really hasn't changed in over 100 years. In Europe, when you're 16, you start playing professional basketball. Luka's been a pro since he was like 15 or 16 years old. So when you're that young and you are in a controlled environment, they teach you how to play how they want you to play. In the United States, you might be in a hood in Baltimore, New York, playing on a court that doesn't have any nets. Just a different environment. The United States environment for youth basketball is a lot less controlled than it is in Europe. Europe has a very controlled environment. I like ours, to be honest with you. And I don't want to control kids. I don't want to do that. I want kids to be very experimental in all aspects of their lives. Sports, socially, educationally. I don't like that controlled stuff. I don't dig it. Sometimes it produces great outcomes, but when I look at a guy like Luka, I question whether or not Luka can ever really engage his teammates in ways that have nothing to do with him playing basketball. Like a Draymond Green. Draymond Green brings his background and everything to the Warriors that sits well and manifests itself in leadership. We're starting to see more of it from the Joker, and I love it. I love him expressing himself. Giannis as well, but it takes those guys longer. I would say that part of Joker's development as a leader is because he's played in the NBA. And he sees how other guys do it. He's like, why can't I do that? Giannis too. I think Giannis has learned a lot from being around American players. And they have really taken that culture on, and they're using it in an authentic way to motivate their team. And it's not that Luka can't do that, but I need to see it. I haven't seen that from Luka. Vicky says, Draymond does little things that nobody else likes to do. Stats don't show up, but winning does. How about that? Young West, is Draymond Green one of the best playmakers and passers of all time at the forward position? Absolutely. He might be at the top of the list. I mean, he's one of them. I mean, Chris Webber was a great passer. I don't think that's really highlighted when you think of Webb as much, but Webber could really pass the ball. Larry Bird was a phenomenal passer. Hasn't been a lot of those guys. It really hasn't. It really hasn't. Draymond, Chris Webber, Larry Bird. I'm sure there's some other people who stand out, but off the top of my brain, I can't think of any. There hasn't been a lot of players. It really hasn't. Vicky says, hit the like button. I like that. Glenn Kuiper got 8 subs today. He has 300 now. I'm gonna tell you something, man. On a serious note, I don't like to bury people. I hope Glenn Kuiper gets. Is Glenn the Giants announcer, or is that the guy who was with the A's? I want to get that right. The Kuiper who worked for the A's had an unfortunate moment, and it cost him his career. I don't like that. When are we gonna forgive people, man? When are we gonna be empathetic to people? We don't know him. We don't know his background. You know, one moment and you lose your career. I think he has been effusive in his regret for what he did. That's enough. We need to stop doing that. Somebody hire that guy. SGA, I'm going to Game 4 to watch Game 4 watch party. Good for you. Have fun. Hand out some In the Dungeon show flyers while you're out there. There you go. Take a picture or make a video of you promoting my show, and I'll bring you on. How's that? That's a fair exchange. That's actually pretty cool. If you do something to help my show and help me, then I'll help you. I love it. Keith says, I hope your Knicks beat the Celtics, Frank. I love seeing those Knicks fans go crazy in the street. There's nothing like New York. New York is a crazy place, which is why I love it. I wouldn't be the person I am today if I didn't grow up in New York City. New Yorkers have a mentality that, like, New York is like another country in and of itself. I mean, it's unbelievable how massive that place is. I mean, I grew up in New York, right? And I would go down to Times Square, hang out, go to movies, and I played at Madison Square Garden. You know, I've done a lot of things, right? But when I didn't go back to New York for like 8 or 10 years, and I went to the same spot in Times Square, my perspective on crowds changed. I couldn't believe that there were so many people. I was like, what are all these people doing here? But that's what I grew up in. But when I left it, it changed my perspective. Everybody should go to New York at least once. Unbelievable place. And my Knicks need to win tomorrow. Otherwise, they're not going to win the series. Rams doing mini camp in Hawaii. How about that? Giants announcer. Nah. The Giant announcer's older. He got to be older. Oh, Glenn. Okay. Glenn worked for the A's. Hire Glenn, man. Hire that dude. I don't like giving up on people. Any chance LeBron leaves LA to get a couple more rings with younger and better teams? Because I believe the Lakers will never win with Luka. I think your point is really astute. And Keys, guess what? LeBron needs to go back to Cleveland. Hot take. If the Lakers could pluck a couple of those young cats away from Cleveland, I think Cleveland's a place for LeBron. That's what they're missing. They look like a bunch of frauds. That was embarrassing. If LeBron's on your team, that's not happening to you. I would love to see LeBron go back to Cleveland. Not going to happen, but I would love to see it happen. Eddie says, that's true. I love any playoff game at Madison Square Garden for the Knicks or for the Rangers. What an awesome place created by God. Vicky, that was a bad trade for the Lakers. In the short term, well, I don't think it was bad, but I don't think it was like this home run that everybody talked about. I mean, the ridicule that Nico Harrison received was totally uncalled for. I'm going to the watch party tomorrow. You told us that already. All right, it's all good. All right, I want to talk about Shadua Sanders. Has anybody seen the highlights of this guy? I touched it. I touched on it at the beginning of the show. Shadua Sanders, looks terrific. He's opened a lot of eyes this weekend, on and off the field. So I'm rooting for this young man. I think he got a raw deal in terms of how he was portrayed. I think he added to that by not doing the things that he needed to do to represent himself, doing the protocols. But let's not thrash this guy's talent. Let's not do that, because you're going to look stupid you do that. You're going to look really stupid. He can't throw. He doesn't have a strong arm. Please, his arm's strong enough. Okay. Another thing I'm going to touch on in a second. I watched some USFL football. You know what? That's pretty good football, man. If you're a football fan, that's pretty good football. And I got two names for you. Bryce Pickens, plays for the Michigan team. He should be in the NFL. You telling me that guy's not good enough to be a third string quarterback in the NFL? It's crazy. He is good. Played at Virginia. I remember watching him play in college. I remember watching him play with the Rams. He deserves another chance. All he needs is somebody to give him the opportunity or have a relationship, and that guy would be receiving an NFL check. Another player, and I didn't realize that he played for the 49ers, is Pico Couture, the wide receiver on the Rams. His older brother, Kai, played for the 49ers at some point. He's 30 years old. I watched him play this weekend. I still think he can play in the NFL. He can play safety in the NFL. Now, he's 30. He's probably not that fast, but he looks like a football player to me, man. He looks like a football player. So the USFL has a couple of guys. Yeah, I'm going to touch on the movie in 1 second, Vicky. Key says, New York was my first stop in the U.S. before settling down in the Bay. It's amazing. It really is. It's awesome. Yeah. Subway system. I mean, literally everything that we watch on television is in New York. It's amazing. And here's the thing about New York that's kind of cool also. You know, like when people go star crazy, you see a celebrity, people go crazy. People in New York don't go crazy when they see celebrities because regular people have so much money and fame that they don't really trip off of it. I mean, you might go to a restaurant, you'll see somebody. It's not a big deal. I would play basketball at West 4th Street. They had an outside league, this really famous league. And I mean, you'll see celebrities playing handball, walking around. I used to bounce at this Mexican restaurant when I was at Fordham called Carambas on Lexington Avenue, down in the Village, kind of straight past NYU. It doesn't exist anymore. But celebrities would come in there all the time. It's just not a big deal. You know, if you want to see celebrities, go to New York. It's not a big deal. Young West says, I've seen Sanders. I think the New York Giants should have drafted him. Time will tell. I heard Sanders wasn't going to trade for the number 2 because his signing bonus wasn't that much. But I don't know. It is true. He said it. I saw the video. Viewers, make sure you click the like button, smash the subscribe button, and ring that notification button for the In the Dungeon Show so you'll never know when Frank comes out with another video. SGA, step it up, man. Thank you. Vicky says, I like the UFL. They have some good players. They do. They do have some good players. I keep looking for kickers in the UFL. USFL. Yeah, I mean, Detroit's kicker came from that last year. He was lights out. I saw a guy this weekend knock a 56-yard field goal, so he's going to be getting a call too. All right. What's your take on Derek Carr's career? Love Derek Carr as a person, a terrific human being, moral compass on 10, great teammate, people like him, great in the community. This Hall of Fame talk is crazy. Stop it. I can't remember one big game that Derek Carr won. I can't. I don't remember any deep playoff runs. He put really good stats up. He had an above average career, was a second round pick. Wouldn't surprise me if he becomes a successful analyst or coach or anything that he wants to do. I'm just a big fan of the person, Derek Carr. But don't tell me that he's defined by stats. I define players by winning, particularly big games. I can't remember him actually winning a whole lot of big games. Vicky says the 49ers need that kicker. Yeah, they do. All right, my movie that I went to. I bit my tongue, questioned my judgment, and I went and saw the Marvel movie Thunderbolts. And the ratings that the movie received doesn't match the overall movie. When I look at the ratings between Sinners, Ryan Coogler, and Marvel Thunderbolts, they're in the same neighborhood, but they're not even close. Not even close. I would give Thunderbolt a B. I'll give it a B, and I'm not a harsh grader, so I would give it a B. It's entertaining. It's not a great movie. It's entertaining. I really like Florence Pugh. She's awesome. I can't remember anything I've seen Florence Pugh in that I have not liked. So it's good. It's not great. Check it out. Vicky says, Carr just had some bad luck. Yeah, he did. Yeah. Jalen Brunson is unbelievable to do what he does at 6 feet. Yeah, I think he's a little taller than that. I think he's maybe 6'1.5", but your point is well taken. He is, as a New York Knicks fan, he was born with a New York Knicks jersey on. That's how much he is ingrained in that organization and that team. He is New York. I love everything about Jalen Brunson. Awesome. Hey, Frank, you should definitely check out the movie Karate Kid Legend starring. Really? Has a good trailer. I'm going to wait on that. What's up, Baldy? I don't know. Oh, me? I'm Baldy? If I'm Baldy, I'm doing great, man. Kidding me? Hey, Frank, grow some hair. Come on, man. Really? You probably wear a toupee. Check your toupee off. Hey, Officer Baldy. Listen, dude. Let me tell you something. Let me give you some game. When I was in college, I actually had hair, flat top, but I used to wear my hair low, really low, right? Not a real big haircut guy. I would wear my hair low, get my hair shaved when I was growing hair. You know why? Because it wasn't about me. It was about my girlfriend. I wanted to focus on her, not on me. Don't focus on how I look, man. Focus on my character, dude. Hey, Uncle Frank. Yeah, man. You know how great it is to be somebody's uncle? You should live so long to be somebody's uncle, to be a positive influence in somebody's life. All right? All right, y'all. This has been an awesome show. I was going to get into some Kanye stuff. I'm not going to do it. Maybe I'll do it next week. But there's a whole lot of stuff going on now, and I'll just tease you with this. But there's some controversy going around with Kanye. Kanye has a new song that, in the eyes of many people, is very, very offensive. I really can't decipher the lyrics beyond the chorus, which is kind of crazy to me. But I think we're getting to a fever pitch because the production and the track is unbelievable. It really is. And like the industry now is kind of scrambling, trying to remove this record and make sure that no one hears it. But when you tell young people that you can't hear something, they do whatever they have to do to hear it. So I think in some ways, trying to eliminate him is going to backfire. And I'm kind of vexed about that conversation. It's not something we can get into now. But the production of the song, minus the lyrics, is unbelievable. What a genius. Musical genius. I'll just leave it at that. Let me do my thing, get out of here. Listen, I love y'all, man. You guys spent your time with me on my favorite holiday, Mother's Day. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Success in getting paid is a manifestation of the whole process. If you as an individual don't do things to help other people make their lives better, as far as I'm concerned, you haven't done nothing. Everybody hit the like button, subscribe to the show. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers in 2028. We'll get there. All right. Seems like anyone except the Warriors can win the finals this year. It's wide open. It is wide open, which makes it really, really exciting. All right. Is Frank going to get freaky on here? No, absolutely not. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Go Warriors. Go Knicks.